What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sanichi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A former military police sergeant has been indicted for spying for China. It's the latest in a crackdown on espionage in the military. Tiffany Wong reports.
Debt. That's what prosecutors say drove a former military police sergeant to give sensitive data to a suspected Chinese intelligence organization. They say the 23-year-old was looking for loans when he was targeted online. Now, the former military police officer, surnamed Xu, has been indicted for leaking classified intelligence and accepting bribes.
检察官依违反贪污治罪条例、违背职务受贿罪及违反国家安全法为大陆地区泄露公务机密罪，依法提起公诉，并向法院具体求处有期徒刑6年以上之刑。
The indictment says that military police should be held to a higher moral standard. The investigation revealed that Xu filmed videos, made copies of his military ID, and shared military intelligence with a supposedly anti-war and pro-peace organization based in China in exchange for about $9,700 in loans. He also gave an analytical review of the Taiwanese TV series Zero Day Attack, which depicts a Chinese invasion of Taiwan.
目前已知的共谍案件当中呢，有将近70%都跟军方背景有关，而发展共谍的方式跟路径呢，常常是跟财务状况有关系。
In recent years, prosecutors have been cracking down on Chinese infiltration and espionage. Several cases have involved high-ranking military or government personnel using various means.
凸显中共他在渗透我国的时候，通常还是会利用这个所谓黄金黑原则，就是情感或者是这金钱以及威胁利诱方法来发展他的下线。
As the military continues to weed out spies, the government is trying to strengthen incentives for soldiers to boost morale and retain loyalty, as the security and integrity of the country's biggest defense against China is critical. Delphine Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
A Trump pick for a top defense job says the U.S. is working to reduce delays in advanced weapons transfers to Taiwan.
I think on this specific case, the department is working very urgently and expeditiously to ensure that Taiwan has the capabilities that it needs to defend itself.
Dahmer was responding to questions from a senator about delays in the delivery of U.S.-made Harpoon missile systems to Taiwan. The U.S. agreed to sell Taipei 100 of these systems during the first Trump administration. So far, only a few have been delivered. U.S. officials have blamed supply chain issues for the delays. The foreign minister is downplaying reports of delays to a planned representative office in Estonia.
是在今年大概4月的时候，国会通过，付予法院所以事实上是半年前我们双边就展开咨商，不是2年了，2年是他们表达有这个意愿。
Earlier this week, Nikkei Asia reported that while Estonia agreed to open a Taiwan representative office 2 years ago, the plans have since stalled, mainly over whether to call it the Taipei or Taiwan office. That's a difference that could anger China. Estonia's foreign minister just met with its Chinese counterpart in Beijing. China says Estonia reaffirmed support for its One China policy, but that phrase was missing from Estonia's own account. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died, leaving a controversial legacy. While mainly remembered for his role in the U.S. war on terror and invasion of Iraq, he was also notable for his support of Taiwan and the decision to split from the Republican Party in his later years. John Van Tres has his look back on his Cheney's life.
The U.S. flag atop the White House flies at half-staff, a tribute to former Vice President Dick Cheney, who died Monday, aged 84. He is widely seen as one of the most powerful vice presidents in U.S. history, and one with a still visible legacy. Cheney had a long career in government, serving as a White House chief of staff, a U.S. House lawmaker, and defense secretary under different administrations. But it's his role in U.S. wars abroad that some say he'll be remembered for. His tenure as vice president stretched from 2001 to 2009, the era of President George W. Bush and the post-9/11 U.S. war on terror, which included the invasion of Iraq.
In the case of Iraq, we have a regime that is busy enhancing its capabilities in the field of chemical and biological agents and is, by all available evidence, speeding up its nuclear weapons program.
Those weapons of mass destruction, the reason given for the invasion, never turned up. For this and other reasons, views of him have been split for years.
I think for all those decades in government, in Congress, and in business, he'll be remembered primarily for the 2003 Iraq War, which in one way was the pinnacle of American power, and in another way was its downfall.
Because he was very much a proponent of some of the more controversial policies of the George W. Bush administration, whether you're thinking about sort of enhanced interrogations or torture, essentially, if you're thinking about sort of surveillance, the Patriot Act, or surveillance also, domestic spying on Americans, and of course his most hawkish line on the war in Iraq and being largely unapologetic about it.
In Cheney's home state of Wyoming, views are still mixed today.
His legacy, I think, will be one of the probably better vice presidents that we've had.
When I think of Dick Cheney, I of course think of the Iraq War and the war in Afghanistan and how many U.S. lives were lost and others, and the failure of those efforts. So.
While Iraqis, who bore the brunt of U.S. intervention, have largely negative views of him.
I don't think any American official has a good legacy inside Iraq, or that any Iraqi remembers them in a good way, especially Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney had a major role in the occupation and destruction of Iraq under the pretext of nuclear weapons, which never existed. They destroyed us, and Dick Cheney specifically destroyed us. In what way can we remember him? By the voting in the Security Council, the war. He was bloodthirsty. All I can say is that he was a bloodthirsty man.
But there was more to Cheney's career than Iraq. He was also a backer of U.S. defense for Taiwan from the beginning, supporting the Taiwan Relations Act while a Congress member in 1979. As vice president, he argued forcefully for Taiwan's defense, and he visited Taiwan in retirement, even meeting President Tsai Ing-wen in 2017. And Cheney's personal politics evolved too. A staunch conservative throughout his political career, his final years saw him break ranks with his Republican Party as it came to be dominated by President Donald Trump. Cheney and Trump became strong opponents, and Cheney's daughter Liz came out as a leading anti-Trump Republican in the U.S. House of Representatives. Trump had this to say about Cheney and his family while eyeing a return to the presidency in 2022.
Cheneys are die-hard globalists and warmongers who have been plunging us into new conflicts for decades, spilling American blood and spending American treasure all over the world.
Cheney hit back, slamming Trump in a campaign ad for his daughter Liz later that year.
In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him.
In the end, Cheney went so far as to endorse Trump's Democratic opponent Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. Cheney's life and death chart the shifting story of U.S. policy and politics through an era. And while views of his legacy are hardly uniform, the stamp he left is something even his detractors have noted. Ryan Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan and the U.S. have responded to China's new requirements for Taiwan's participation in next year's Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. APEC members agreed to host next year's summit in China, and Taiwan's foreign ministry said its right to participate and the safety of its attendees had been guaranteed in writing. Yet this week, China's foreign ministry said Taiwan's participation in APEC activities must comply with its One China principle. An official for the U.S. State Department expressed its support for Taiwan, insisting on the full and equal participation of all APEC members, including Taiwan. Taiwan Foreign Minister Ling Jialong spoke out against China's actions.
中国我想在国际上
对于我们明年参加在北京我们明年参加在深圳举办的 APEC 大会那么附加了很多条件那这个都是违反当时的承诺。我们会捍卫我们的权利，也会协调这个理念相近国家一起来加以反制。
Next year's APEC summit is scheduled to take place in Shenzhen. Popular Malaysian rapper Namewee has handed himself in to Malaysian police in a murder investigation. It ends a 2-day search for the rapper, who is wanted for questioning over the death of a Taiwanese influencer. Before turning himself in, Namewee posted on social media, promising to cooperate with the police investigation. The influencer Iris Shree was found dead in a Kuala Lumpur hotel last month. Reports say Namewee, whose real name is Wee Mong Chi, was at the scene. He also faces charges of illegal drug use and possession. Wee is well known in Taiwan for his songs, some of which are political or critical of China. Taiwan has opened an investigation into a massive Cambodian scam operation's money laundering activities in Taiwan. On Tuesday, Taipei prosecutors seized nearly $150 million, detained 25 suspects, and summoned 10 witnesses for questioning. The action comes after the U.S. sanctioned 9 Taiwan-based companies and 3 individuals linked to the Prince Group. Headed by a China-born Cambodian boss who once lived in Taiwan, the group allegedly operated online scam centers that used slave labor. As the investigation expands, authorities say they are uncovering the group's local structure, financial networks, and staff. Typhoon Kalmaegi has torn through the Philippines and killed at least 66 people. The typhoon brought destructive winds and flash floods to the island of Cebu. Authorities say the number of casualties is rising fast as rescue operations reach deeper into affected areas. Irene Lin reports.
Rivers in the central Philippines burst their banks. Typhoon Kalmaegi made landfall here on Tuesday, bringing what a local official called unprecedented damage to the island of Cebu. One local farmer recounts the night the typhoon swept through his hometown.
It was strong. The wind last night was very strong. It was like we were being washed. We could not understand it, and there was also a flash flood brought by it.
In Talise City, houses made from lightweight materials were torn apart. Now only ruins remain. As of Wednesday morning, the Philippine Civil Defense Office says at least 66 people are dead. That includes 6 crew members of a military helicopter that crashed while heading to provide aid. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the crash. In the meantime, the death toll is likely to climb as rescue teams try to find missing people in devastated towns along the river. In coastal provinces, thousands evacuated to emergency shelters before the storm touched land, including the school that's become a temporary evacuation center on Samar Island in the country's northeast. People here still shaken by the urgent warning to flee.
Our place there is flooded. The water rose high because of the river. It's dangerous there, though our house is okay since it's made of concrete. But we're avoiding the flood.
My family is still at home. They haven't left yet. My children are still there. I don't know where the rest of their families will evacuate to.
The Philippines is no stranger to storms and tends to face about 20 natural disasters every year. But in the last 3 months alone, the country has been battered by a magnitude 7.4 earthquake and 2 deadly storms, including Typhoon Ragasa that also ravaged Taiwan in late September. As Typhoon Kalmaegi now moves away toward the coast of Vietnam, residents here are beginning the painstaking work of rebuilding what has been lost to yet another storm. Andy Xue and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we take you to the UK's Chester Zoo, where conservationists are celebrating the arrival of 2 rare Northeast African cheetah brothers, Kendi and Tafari. I'm Sani Chi. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
This is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?